So, this time last year, the boys over at Touchline Fracas asked their followers to make a list of who was on their fraud watch for the coming season. And being an avid listener, as well as having a keen eye for a fraud, I decided to make a list of my own as well and put it out there into the ether. And, the season's well and truly over and we're heading into the new season. So I thought I'd take the time to actually review who I put on the list. So, number one, every journo that talked up Declan Rice moving to Chelsea. This one is close to my heart because I've spoken about it a lot. And I've gotten abuse for my views. I've been called this, everything under the sun, even called a failed rapper. Like, that's not nice. All because I share my opinion. It's crazy. But as we all know, when Lampard was Chelsea manager, he wanted to bring in Declan Rice, but to turn him into a centre-back. But the board said no, because he's a Chelsea Academy reject. Like, we released him when he was younger. And they didn't want to spend that amount of money on an ex-Chelsea Academy player because it would look bad. And because they felt the Academy drops him out for a reason. That's fair. Like, I can agree that probably happened. It did happen. But Lampard left, Tuchel came in, and everyone was still trying to force this Chelsea want Rice, Tuchel wants Rice agenda. And it just wasn't true. And it was crazy. Obviously, the journos, they wanted to get in nice with Mount because they saw him as, a future superpower in English football. And he had them all doing laps for him. Even the whole PR stunt with him, I'm going to get to Mount later. But Tuchel never wanted Rice. He did one interview and said he's a Chelsea boy and praised him. But in that same interview, he also praised Souček. So that mean we're going to buy Souček too because he said he's a good player? Like, no, it just didn't make sense because regardless of what you thought of Jorginho, Tuchel loved him. And we also had Kante and we had Kovacic. And we just didn't need Rice, especially to spend, 130 million, whatever they were quoting for him at the time. And he wasn't ready for that step up yet. And since then, that midfield's won us the Champions League, won us the Super Cup, won us the Club World Championship, got us to 2 more domestic finals. That midfield has done very well, or under Tuchel anyway. So it just didn't make sense to me. So I just knew that this rumour just didn't make sense. And the reasoning behind it, why would the board all of a sudden want to spend this money on the Academy reject overnight? Like, the reasoning wouldn't just change for no reason just because Tuchel says he wants him. Like, the dots weren't connecting. The maths wasn't mathing. So I knew it was fraud and I got abused for it online. And now would you look at that? Actually, the funny thing is, it actually makes more sense for us to be in for Rice now because we've lost Jorginho, Kovacic and Kante. We're doing a whole midfield rebuild. We need that presence, that, a driving midfielder that can get up and down, box to box, that can make tackles, be dynamic and also get the odd goal. But funnily enough, now we actually could use a player like Rice and the rumours would actually make more sense than ever. He's going to Arsenal, isn't he? He's going to Arsenal. So that every journo that linked Declan Rice to Chelsea is officially a fraud. On to the next one. Fraud number 2. Koulibaly. I've been saying from 2019, he isn't the guy. He isn't the hero we think he is. He was rated at 90, 100 million. I even said it in my keep, sell, loan video. I've never really rated him like that. His compilations look great. On his day, he looks great. But his day doesn't come often enough. I've seen him get ripped apart by Arsenal when they beat Napoli 4-1. I see him against Liverpool, Mo Salah running rings around the guy. I've just seen enough. And when he does look good, it's Napoli, it's Serie A. Chris Smalling looks like Nesta out there. It just didn't make sense. I never really believed he was the guy. And he was getting talked up by a lot of Chelsea fans for one reason or another. And I just saw fraud. And now he's been sold already to the Saudi League. And I know he's gone. He's admitted it was for the money. Fair play to him. He's got a family to look after. He's trying to put money back into Africa. He's trying to reinvest in Senegal. So by all means, man, make your money and put it to good use. But even if Saudi weren't in for him, the Saudi teams, he would have been sold. He was pretty much transfer listed. So that, for me, that's another fraud. On to the next one. Number 3, Arteta with European fixtures. So, the season before, Arteta got Arsenal back into European football. And yeah, I was sceptical. He done well, but I was sceptical about how he would do with those European fixtures. But he's passed with flying colours, hasn't he? He's come second place. He took City to the wire up until like the final stretch of the season. They capitulated terribly, but to even be in that position, nobody, not even the most optimistic of Arsenal fans, thought that would happen. They could have won it if it weren't for a lack of squad depth and if Arteta maybe rotated a bit more. But even so, like, they've had an amazing season. Besides City fans, I think all of us would have swapped places to be an Arsenal fan this season to go on that ride, because they had an amazing journey and they're back in the Champions League. So props to Arteta. You, my boy, are not a fraud. Number 4. This comes in a pair. Sancho and Rashford. It's a yin and yang story here, isn't it? Because, boy, Marcus Rashford, to be honest, we've all known he's had the talent and that he's an amazing prospect. And I didn't put Rashford on this list, nor Sancho, to be honest, because they obviously both have amazing amounts of talent. It was a now or never moment for them. I thought for Rashford, this was a moment where United needed a hero. He wants to be in the same bracket as the Mbappes of the world, or like in that world-class bracket. Obviously, he's not Mbappe levels yet, but he's had an amazing season. He was, contender for goal of the season. Not goal of the season, player of the season. Man United's top scorer. Fired them into the Champions League. He's dragged them up the table into the top 4. Like, you can't ask for more than that from Rashford. He's been amazing. But Sancho, on the other hand, he's linked to moves on the way out. He missed out on the World Cup squad. He got sent to the mountains by Ten Hag to get his mind right because he had mental health issues. I hope he's all good now mentally. That comes from the bottom of my heart. But I'd still believe he's a talented player. But in terms of the price tag and the expectation, and compared to what he's delivered, I'm afraid, has to go down as a fraud. On to the next one. And last but not least, Mason Mount being a nailed-on starter. Now, he's gone from hero to zero in the space of a year. He went from the 2-time player of the year, and now he's off to one of our biggest, fiercest rivals, Manchester United, as he wouldn't renew his contract. Some speculate it's because of money. Others speculate he doesn't have trust in the new owners. Either way, I don't really care, if I'm honest. He's going, and that's the end of that. He's not part of the cause. Even Reece James sent in direct to him about, people you have to convince to carry bricks aren't the ones you're meant to build with. And I share that sentiment. He doesn't want to be here. Let him go. And during that year, his place in the first team was always under scrutiny. He got dropped a lot more times than he'd ever had in his Chelsea career. And also, towards the second half of the season, he was plagued with injuries. But even before then, Tuchel took him out of the squad a few times. Potter took him out of the squad a few times. He was shaky throughout his campaign. Even without the injuries, it's the worst I've ever seen him. That can be said for a lot of Chelsea players this year. But obviously, Mount is no longer a nailed-on starter. And he's no longer a Chelsea player. So for that, I deem him a fraud. That's it from me for now. Please tune into my future videos. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to Taller Talks Football. Thank you.